So this guy named Rhetorically Defective made a video about the debate between Douglas Murray, who's a degenerate monster, and this other guy named Dave Smith. And that debate is interesting, and I should cover it in another video, but I'm not talking about that yet. I'm talking about this moron named Rhetorically Defective. So he made a video I guess criticizing Douglas Murray's performance in this debate. And I knew that there was something off about this guy when he praised Douglas Murray near the beginning of this video. So not not too bright of a guy to begin with, especially when you have such a stupid avatar to represent you. Yeah, rhetorically defective describes this guy really well. So I wrote a comment talking about Murray's performance, and I said, and this was me being nice, Murray's argument consists of appeal to authority fallacies, talking over his opponent, mumbling, stuttering, whataboutisms, and smug arrogance. He doesn't address his opponent's points, dismisses or minimizes excellent arguments which refute his entire position and blatantly lies. Doesn't get much worse than that. So obviously, these guys were talking about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and Israel's genocide in Gaza. And Dave Smith was doing a decent job of explaining why Israel is a genocidal state, an apartheid state. Even so, Dave Smith is not an anti-Zionist. He's not. He is critical of Israel. I don't know if he necessarily supports Zionism. I think he critiques Zionism, but that's a far cry from being an anti-Zionist. In order to be an anti-Zionist, you have to support the axis of resistance, and you have to support Palestine's right to self-defense. And I don't believe Dave Smith actually supports those things. But rhetorically defective is kind of a moron. So, in response to my comment, he writes, the weird part is, I feel as though it's not that difficult to rebut Dave Smith's claims. Now, that's not correct at all. Dave Smith's arguments were pretty solid. If anything, he was way too light on Murray. And that's why I said, I don't agree with that. Dave Smith's arguments were pretty good. If anything, he was too light. Then rhetorically defective responds, Dave has moral arguments that are not being addressed morally. So here's the entire problem with this imbecile. He's going into morality right from the start. This is going to become a major problem with this guy's argument. The moral retaliation from Israel is pretty easy to justify. What? Hell fucking no. You do not get to claim morality or moral retaliation, whatever that means, when the native inhabitants of the country are defending their land. Okay? So it turns out that Zionism was just an Ashkenazi separatist movement. All right? Zionism, being the stated Jews are returning back to their homeland nonsense, is a lie. Ashkenazis are not from the Middle East. They never were. Zionism was just part of the scramble for Africa. Watch my video. I'm going to link it in the description to learn more about that. It's all a complete lie. You can't steal land that doesn't belong to you, then install a population friendly to you, and then hide behind that installed population. That is might makes right. And you can't do that and then try to talk about morality and talk about how your moral arguments aren't being addressed morally. Are you kidding me? You have no moral standing to begin with. Let me say that again. Israel killed the native inhabitants of Palestine, exiled the rest, and then they installed a population that is friendly to them. And then they hide behind that population, and then they use morons like Rhetorically Defective to advance their lies, to justify their occupation of the land that they annexed. Okay, that is literally might makes right. And then this imbecile says not even the surrounding Muslim countries want to take in the Muslim Arab Palestinians. Holy shit, there's so much wrong with this statement. First of all, don't call the Palestinians necessarily Muslim or Arab. First of all, Arabs and Jews are not mutually exclusive things. In fact, Arabs were Jews before any Ashkenazi ever existed. This guy is demonstrating his own ignorance. He doesn't understand any of this history. Um, King Herod was an Arab on both sides, and he existed long before Ashkenazis ever existed. So Arabs were Jews before Ashkenazis were. And that's not surprising because Arabic is a Semitic language. So is Hebrew. So, of course, Arabs would have been Jews before Ashkenazis. He's saying Muslim Palestinians. No, not all Palestinians are Muslims. There are Christians living in Palestine. Palestine is the birthplace for Christianity. And he's saying not even the surrounding Muslim countries want to take blah, 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 want to take them in. No, you idiot. The surrounding Muslim countries do not want to aid and abet Israel's genocide. That's what that is. Okay? Israel created the problem by committing genocide. No other country should aid and abet that genocide. Israel created the problem. Israel needs to take responsibility for creating that problem. No one else. So I explained all this stuff to him, but of course, all of my responses got flagged as spam. So then, Rhetorically Defective says, yeah, and America stole land from the Native Americans and needs to give it back to them. Same claim with any colonial forces. In reality, might doesn't make right, it makes reality. So I stopped reading at that point. You are making a might makes right argument. You fucking idiot. When you say might doesn't make right, it makes reality, you are saying might makes right. That's exactly what this means. And you can't make a might makes right argument when you are leading off your entire argument by talking about moral arguments that are not being addressed morally. You aren't addressing this situation from a moral perspective. You are addressing the situation from a might makes right perspective, despite your assertion that you are trying to claim might doesn't make right. Okay? That's like saying it's not right to rape your wife, but it's okay to rape your wife. You are contradicting yourself in the same exact sentence. Doesn't matter if you assert might doesn't make right, if you directly contradict that assertion with the essence of your argument. And that's what this rhetorically and morally defective idiot doesn't understand. So that's what I said. You made an appeal to morality. You can't play the might makes right card if you are talking about morality. And then Rhetorically Defective and Morally Defective tries to double down, saying he said that might doesn't make right. All you have are the same tired recycling talking points to the point of where you're bringing the conversation backward. That doesn't mean Palestinians get to do October 7th and rape. So I already addressed this. You are saying might makes right. Okay, you just contradicted your assertion with the essence of your argument. You are saying might makes right. And as for October 7th and rape, no, you idiot. The Palestinians, by the way, and you're not making a distinction between Palestinians and Hamas. So what's stopping anyone else from making a distinction between the IDF or Israel and Jews? As far as I'm concerned, that's also valid if you're going to do that. No, actually, it was Jews who were raping and killing Palestinians. Okay? It was Jews who were sticking metal rods up Palestinians' butts, and then they turned these Jews into celebrities in Israel. Okay? You don't get to go around raping and killing people just because you're a frigging Jew. That's Jewish supremacy. Okay? All this stuff about mass rape on October 7th, those are all lies. And this imbecile bought in and believed all of those lies. It was actually the IDF that killed their own civilians on October 7th. You know, all of the mass killings, the burned bodies and things like that, they were killed by Israeli IDF Apache gunships because those were the only things that could have done that kind of devastation. So I said to him, no, you are making might makes right with your argument. You can't talk about morality when you rationalize land theft and colonialism. And then once again, this fucking idiot doubles down. I literally said might doesn't make right. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Blah, blah, blah. He's just proving he's a dumbass. You took my land, so I'll rape your women is a wild stance to take, bud. No, that's a straw man fallacy. What the fuck? That is the dumbest argument. Here's the thing. The mass rape, the only evidence of mass rape is on the part of Jews. Okay, that's the only evidence. In fact, they paraded these rapists on Israeli television. It's also in the charter of the Palestinian government to eliminate Jews. Well, first of all, they actually softened. Well, don't call it the Palestinian government. Okay, it's in the Hamas. You're talking about Hamas. That's the first thing. The second thing is they actually softened the tone of their rhetoric in whatever it is that he's referring to. And third of all, and this is gonna be controversial to you, rhetorically defective, but it needs to be said because you're a Jewish supremacist. People are justified in hating Jews who are raping and killing their people. Okay, you don't get to go around raping and killing children just because you're a Jew. You don't get to steal land that doesn't belong to you just because you are a Jew. Okay? And if people hate Jews as a response to their bad behavior, it is because the Jews have been doing things that they weren't supposed to be doing. Okay? That is the reason why they hate them. If Jews are raping and killing their people, you can't be shocked when the victims of those horrific, vile attacks, the worst, most vile crimes known to humanity, you can't be surprised if they hate Jews because Jews raped and killed their people. I don't know what else to tell you. If you don't understand that, then you are a Jewish supremacist. You have no morals when you have a one-dimensional view of history. Oh, that's hypocritical. You are applying morality to the Palestinians, but you don't apply it to Jews. From rhetorically defective's perspective, Jews are allowed to rape and murder children and steal land that doesn't belong to them. Rhetorically defective just elevates Jews above everyone else. He believes that Jews are God's chosen people and that they are allowed to rape everyone. No, actually, you have the capacity of ethics of a 5-year-old, whatever the fuck that even means. You are the biggest bigot on the planet. You're a Jewish supremacist. And I just said, congrats, I'm going to make a video about you. Because every time I try to argue with these Jewish supremacists in the comments section, all my comments get flagged as spam. So fuck you, rhetorically defective. You're a Jewish supremacist piece of fucking shit. No wonder Douglas Murray is your hero. Because you have no morality at all. You think Jews can go around raping and killing children, and that's okay. You think it's okay for Jews to steal land that doesn't belong to them. And then if anyone fights back against those Jews, then they are the ones who are wrong. Okay? This guy supports Jewish terrorism, plain and simple. Post in the comments section what you think. Like, comment, subscribe, all that bullshit. Because I'm out of here. See ya.